When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode. Hey folks, Mark Ledlow here. No sense in having the video on Mike H and myself. He's listening to this podcast anyway, so I got Mike. He's over in Europe right now, and he's been busy. And Mike, I'm glad you're okay. He had some stuff he ran into over there, and feeling better now.
Yeah, it's been a wild week. A little bit over a week since I think we last talked, but
right.
Yeah, it's been nonstop.
So the news is telling us one thing, Mike. CNN's reporting stuff. Fox is reporting stuff. I'll let you tell us what's going on since you're on the ground over there.
Over the past week and a half or whatever, things have drastically changed. When I first got here, there were still lots of refugees coming back towards the border and all this other stuff. And as it's progressed, things have kind of changed with Kiev, and the Russians kind of pulling out and stuff. And people are going in there now, going back to see their houses and stuff, and finding, all kinds of atrocities and the brutalness that the Russians were doing while they had occupied these towns. And a lot of the mission now is you got people that want to go back to their houses and stuff. The problem with that is you don't really know what the Russians are planning on doing. So, we've kind of advised our the people we've been working with to, hold off a few days, don't go rushing right back in. But it looks like our mission is going to change more towards taking some of them back. We've been running a lot of supplies, and towards the beginning we were still pulling people out. People that wanted to get back to the border, get across the border, or just didn't have the means to travel, or too old, or whatever. We'd take supplies in, and then on the way out, we'd bring people back with us.
Right. And folks, if you're listening to this is Michael H, protecting his last name for now because he's over there doing a rescue operations right now. And there is a GoFundMe on the first launch of the podcast on YouTube. You can click on that. And I know Mike and the team over there can use the support from us here stateside. So please donate on his GoFundMe account. It's on the YouTube page, on my podcast page. And so go there and please donate whatever you feel you can donate to help Mike and the expenses. This is all donation by Mike's time, and he's donating his time, and many other guys over there as well are donating their time. So go, please fill us in, and then you're doing some ops. Now everybody wants to go back. The Russians are pulling back. Do you think they're just reorganizing to hit Kiev harder, or what are you guys thinking over there?
There's multiple scenarios that could play out, but right now, it's just a waiting game. Everybody's kind of nervous and just waiting to see what they're going to do. But this operation is far from over. I mean, even if they don't go back in and they do leave, now you're moving into a recovery phase and cleaning up the destruction and all the things that are going to come along with cleaning up after everything that went on in these different places that were occupied. You got infrastructure damage. I mean, it's gonna take a while for these towns to recover and for this country to recover. And even if they don't come back to the Kiev area, I mean, you still got the Donbass and all that stuff that's going on in the eastern side of the country. So the fighting is still going on, but it's kind of shifting to a different area.
Are the Ukrainians putting up a good fight to Russia? Because I heard about them doing operations and destroying a fuel depot over there in Russia or something. That's just the news. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, so that's kind of the word we're getting, that they conducted this operation right across the border and hit a Russian fuel depot and resupply area. obviously wasn't down that way, and I'm not privy to exactly what happened, but that's what everything's being pushed out. From the looks of things, I mean, and from their morale and the interactions I've had with the Ukrainian soldiers, and their morale's high. They're super patriotic, and they're willing to fight to the death. They're not going to let somebody take their country, and I can respect that. I think they're
Is that
putting up
pretty
a hell.
inspiring? Being a United States Army veteran yourself, does that kind of inspire you?
Yeah, I mean, to see somebody that patriotic, I mean, and somebody that's going to do whatever it takes. I mean, not only they're doing whatever it takes, they're also being hospitable and are very appreciative for the help and stuff that they're getting. And I mean, these aren't just soldiers. I mean, these are farmers, these are teachers, they're plumbers, they're just everyday people that have dropped their lives to take up arms to defend their country. And it's much like the Americans did in the Revolutionary War. Yeah, it's very, very motivating, and it's definitely a sight to see. And I think that's why a lot of people are stepping up to volunteer their time and to help these people, because because of their drive and their mission, and their love for their country. I mean, they have a hell of a leader. President Zelensky is just absolutely amazing. I mean, it's been crazy to see how far he's come from the beginning of the war to where he's at now, and he's a national hero over here. So, and rightfully so.
Have you had much interaction with Zelensky at all personally over there?
No, I'm just one of many volunteers that are over here. Like I said in our last talk, our operation is a little small scale. It's something that we personally can do. There's many other organizations out there that are much larger, that are working closer with the Ukrainian government than we are. But no, I personally haven't had any interactions with them.
Now, are there like other military operations from foreign countries that are there helping the Ukrainians out, giving them guidance that you've seen or heard about that are helping them really kick Russia's butt?
I mean, that's kind of hard to speak on because I'm not privy to those conversations. I know there's a lot of foreign aid and weapons and stuff that have been coming in, and I definitely think that aid has benefited the Ukrainians, and especially the weapons. I mean, the javelins and the stuff that have been given to them have allowed them to defeat a conventional army with massive amounts of armor. And I mean, you can see in some of these areas just the amount of destruction that they laid into the Russians. Just being, a smaller army and using these weapons, they've put a good dent in the Russian army.
It's pretty shocking to think. We're hearing on the news on CNN that they're not getting the aid. The politicians over here on the TV on CNN Fox saying, "Oh yeah, they're not getting any aid yet. There's nothing on the ground here in Ukraine." So that's inaccurate information. I'm taking it.
I don't really know exactly what context they're speaking in. I know that ever since it all started kicking off, I mean, there's been aid coming in. I mean, javelins and all the man pods and all that other stuff, which has allowed them to defeat the air assets and the armor. But as far as personally knowing, what these other news organizations are speaking on, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't believe the Russian are starting to retreat, and we're trying to reorganize and trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do now. I mean,
well, it's interesting. I mean, that's the biggest thing is everybody's kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. It looks like they're retreating, but there could be possibly shifting strategy. That could be. I mean, there's a number of reasons why they're doing what they're doing, and it could be to reorganize and create another offensive. I mean, you don't know. So only time will tell. But I know a lot of these people are eager to get back to their houses and back to their villages and towns. So hopefully, it is a retreat and they aren't coming back, and that, they've they've taken a licking and they're taking off. So we'll see what happens.
Now, how are you doing? Have you had any altercations yourself, or you been in danger at all on these different missions?
Personally, not. I mean, I haven't felt scared or anything. There's nothing really been super sketchy that's happened to us. More of Murphy's Law. I mean, the weather's been kind of bad, cold, it snowed, um, rainy. Had a flat tire that we changed in the middle of, during the day during a rainstorm, and I had a little bit of a battle with either some food poisoning or something for about 24 hours, to be expected in an austere environment, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, I've felt pretty safe. I mean, we've gone through checkpoints, and I haven't really been hassled that much. So, there was the closest thing that's happened since I've been here was in Lviv. The Russians hit a fuel depot, and that was probably 4 or 5 clicks away from where we were at. So that's about the closest action or danger that we've come close to. I know a lot of people speak about the extractions and all that stuff, and I think a lot of people have this idea that you got all these guys in kit and weapons and stuff kicking down doors and running in and rescuing the hostages, and that's not exactly how it's going. It's more of a soft extraction. You get a phone call and it says, hey, the family wants to come out, and they need to be escorted. So we just go, we meet this family, set up at a pickup point, and from the pickup point, we take them from point A to point B, and then, help out with, their relocation, getting them lodging, food, water, and in some cases, clothing. I mean, a lot of these families are leaving with, the things that they can grab. Some that are fortunate have vehicles that, they can leave in. Others, we had one lady and her kids we had first helped with. She spent 20 hours traveling just to get to the border. They had been on a train, they had been on a bus, and they had what they could carry. And one of the cool things about all this is that at these border crossings, aid from all over the world. I mean, every country you can imagine. Has helped to support, and they've got tents set up with all the necessities, clothing, hygiene kits, even cell phones, food, whatever you can think of that you would possibly need. There's organizations there that will welcome these refugees, and they're loading them up on buses and take them, and they're scattering all across Europe. So there's definitely a lot of people over here helping. And it's been pretty humbling to bear witness to the things that are going on.
Yeah, would you say there's a lot of American veterans over there helping out and just supporting rescue operations and that too?
I have met quite a few Americans. There's a lot doing volunteer work. I met 2 veterans that kind of like me had decided, hey, I'm going to go help. I think they both were veterans, and I think they were law enforcement as well. But they decided to come over, and they rented 2 vehicles, and would drive across the border, and had gotten bags like backpacks and stuff, and were handing them out. They saw a need, they filled the gap. These people were showing up with plastic bags and stuff, and just whatever means necessary to carry the things they had. And these guys saw a need that they took the money that was donated to them and applied it towards backpacks, and just handing out something as simple as a backpack. And the refugees are very grateful. I've also seen quite a few of the Legion guys. some interactions have been pretty interesting. Um, you know, good for them for doing what they're doing. But I personally probably wouldn't have gone to battle with some of them. So
Legion guys, who are the Legion guys? Can you explain that more? Who they are?
So the Legion, President Zelensky called for foreign fighters to come, volunteer and join the Ukrainian army, and he's created these legions across the country. That these volunteers are coming over, and they're joining. They don't really have that much training. I think one of the requirements is you've been prior military, or I'm not really up to date on what they're requiring these guys to do, but you got all types that are coming to Ukraine and joining these legions to help fight. I know there's some units that are soft and have soft backgrounds, and they're doing a lot more direct action stuff. But a lot are guys that are coming over that just spend a little time in the military and want to do what they can to help. So
yeah, I've heard the size of the legions on the news was like in the thousands, of the tens of thousands or something like that are volunteer army for the Ukrainian people. I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure they're coming from all over the world in the cause of freedom for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, as far as size, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I know I've met quite a few. It wouldn't surprise me if it was in the thousands. I mean, there's massive amounts of people that just want to come help. And don't get me wrong. I mean, these legions, they're definitely helping, and the Ukrainians need them. All I can say is experiences may vary.
Right. It's pretty trippy. I mean, just to think maybe that has a significance in why Russia was forced to retreat a little bit and regroup, because they're having such an effect on them.
I wasn't directly, associated with the legions, but the Ukrainians have put up a fierce fight. No matter whether it's the Ukrainians or the legions or whatever, they're all one army, and they put up a fierce fight, and with what they have, and you also got a whole country that's for the ones that haven't left, the ones that stayed back to defend their cities. So it's hard for an invading army that didn't grow up here, it's hard for them to go up against somebody that grew up here and this is their home. I mean, they've got the home field advantage,
Right. Like, it's kind of like the Russians invading Afghanistan and had zero success. It's like the Afghanistan people know their terrain, they know their neighborhoods, they know their hills or mountains.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the bad things about being an invaded army is like, yeah, you don't have that home court advantage, so you're
right
at the mercy of the terrain and those who know the terrain, and that can be detrimental to an army.
I mean, the fight has been going on almost a month now over there. Is that the right amount of number? Maybe a month and a half.
No, I don't even know what today's date is. Yeah, it's a little bit over a month. I think we're at like 40 some days.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been a long month and a half for these people, and I don't see any slack in morale. If anything, they're really, really motivated, especially with the Russians pulling back from Kiev. They're in it to win it. I mean, until this is all done, they want their country back. They're not going to budge. And President Zelensky's done a good job of keeping morale high, and I really commend him and his efforts, his staff, and everybody else. I mean, literally, this country has come together, and they've defeated a much larger army.
Are the Ukrainian people declaring this like a victory against Russia with this withdrawal and reorganization? How are they looking at Putin right now? They're not really afraid of him. They're willing to die for their freedom in their homeland. They don't really care.
I really can't speak for the Ukrainian people. I could just speak on what I've seen.
Sure.
I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure they consider it a victory to an extent, and I think they understand though that this is far from over. I mean,
Putin's not going to give up that easy.
Yeah, there's been stuff going on here for years. This is just in the past month when he invaded.
Sure.
The rest of the country that it's really been in the media. So the fight's far from over, but it's a small victory.
Sure. Well, I know the big
wars.
Right. I know the big concern we're hearing on our side is, oh crap, who's going to double down? He has nothing to lose. The sanctions are working, so who's going to double down on Ukraine is going to hit the other countries like Poland, and theory is he's going to go after some other countries after Ukraine. But that's the theory. But no one's really thinking about that. They just want their freedom back.
There's a lot of chatter from a lot of different angles, and everybody has their own opinions.
Sure.
Like I've said, that you could consider this a small victory, but everybody is nervous about what's the next step.
Sure.
I mean, one of the biggest concerns is the supply line that's coming out of the West. From Poland. This has been the lifeline for the Ukrainian government and the army. Some people say that the Russians are staging to cut the supply route, and choke off the rest of these cities like they've been doing in like Mariupol and Kiev. But there's just at this point there's no way to tell. It looks as if the Russians are shifting their strategy towards the east and the Donbass. But who knows? And Putin's unpredictable. I mean, he has been backed into a corner. There's been people that have been considering that he might use chemical weapons or maybe even tactical nukes. I mean, there's multiple scenarios that could play out. And like I said, it's just kind of a waiting game right now, and that's why a lot of the people we've been helping, we've been advising them, hey, I know your place is back, you're eager to get to it, but let's kind of hold off and see how this plays out, see what the next move is. And as with anything, it's just like a big game of chess. So hopefully the worst is over. But some people are fearful that the worst is yet to come.
Well, you served in the Army. What's your theory? I would consider you a military expert. You've seen some stuff.
I'm far from an expert. I was just a lonely grunt that enlisted guy that did what I was told. But tactically, if you're thinking about it, I mean, obviously, if you can cut the supply line, you can cut the life off to the army. I mean, an army without supplies is ineffective. It all depends on what is. Nobody really knows what the end goal is for Russia and Putin. So that's the reason it's hard to really predict any strategies, because you just don't know. One thing that we do know, though, is that they've taken a pretty good licking, and with Putin's ego, I'm sure that's not helping the situation. At this point, he's fully committed, and he's got to achieve something to save face with his country and to justify, this special military operation. In other words, an invasion. So there's no telling what he can do or what he's going to do. He's capable of a lot of things. But personally, just thinking tactically, I mean, cutting that life supply line would be my thoughts on what I would go after next.
So the supply line from Poland is very effective right now and resupplying the Ukrainians and all that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Poland's not the only country that's helping out. I mean, all these border countries are helping. Their supplies coming in. I think Poland's been one of the bigger supply lines, just due to the routes and travel. But yeah, I mean, the amount of aid and stuff that's being rushed to these borders is definitely helping the Ukrainian army and Ukrainian people.
Wow. Well, that's good to hear that's starting to flow in. It's making a huge dent in their defense, because I know it seems like the media is just, they're focused on, well, if the Ukrainians don't get jets and flyer jets, they're not going to win this war and all this other garbage.
Well, I mean, the thing about the media is, they latch on to whatever they think they can to build a story.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they get snippets of stuff that they think they understand, but they don't. I'm not saying that, there should be a no-fly zone, or there shouldn't be a no-fly zone, or they don't need aircraft, because I mean, these are all things that could add to and assist the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people. But mainstream media, obviously, one of the things I hate about it is they're looking for ratings. They want to be the next one to, they're looking to break the next story, be the first one to break the next story. And, so they grasp onto these things, and, a lot of times it's inaccurate, some of the stuff that they report.
True. Good point. Yeah, very good point. And folks, if you're listening to this, this is Michael H. If you go to Mark Ledlow's YouTube channel, you'll see our last 7-minute talk we did before Mike H. went to Europe from the United States to help out on this rescue operation he's doing. And please go to the GoFundMe link that we put on that page to donate to Mike in his efforts and his team's efforts to help him out. He's on there his own dime, his own equity, his own finances to help out the Ukrainian people. So please go to the GoFundMe account on Mark Ledlow's YouTube page. You'll see our talk, and in that talk, you'll see in the comments the GoFundMe link. So go ahead, Mike. Feel free to share whatever's on your mind out there.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you having me on, and I'm just one of many. There's a lot of people out here doing a lot of great things, and there's some major organizations. You got Aerial Recovery Group, Samaritan's Purse, Save Our Allies. I mean, there's a lot of organizations out here that are being really effective and bringing change about to the crisis, the refugee crisis that has been caused from all this. And as you said, I started GoFundMe with the intentions of raising $10,000, and each guy on our team has done the same. I've raised about $3,000. I've had some very gracious donors that have just donated just truly to support and send their aid in the best way they can. And, for that, I'm very appreciative. So, I mean, we're right at about 3,000 just for me. So obviously,
congratulations. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. $7,000,
So 3,000 been donated so far. So we need to raise another probably. Yeah, let's do another 3,000. Let's take that up to 10,000, folks. So if you're listening to this, if you have a few $100 and you're listening to this, go to the GoFundMe, donate whatever you can afford. This is going to Mike H. and helping support Ukrainian people. You can actually write this off as a donation. I'm sure talk to your CPA, your accountant, on how you can write this off as a business if you want to do it that way, or maybe a mission gift, because we're helping people out. So check into that. But please go to Mike's GoFundMe page and let's raise that up to $10,000.
Outstanding, man. And, I will say 100% of these donations are going to supplies, food, and these people, to the Ukrainian people. As far as everything that applies to me, I've covered my plane ticket. I've covered my own food and all that other good stuff. So I've made it a point that everything that's donated is going to be donated directly to the recovery effort and to the crisis and to these refugees.